This is me sliding into your YouTube because today, Shalloners, first of all, welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk about how to slide into a boy's DMs, namely a famous boy. I've been getting quite a few questions lately about how to catch the attention of a guy who's like Instagram famous or maybe regular famous. Maybe he's an athlete. Maybe he's just kind of like the popular dude in your hometown. Maybe he's got that delicious little blue check mark on his Instagram profile like I do, not like it's a big deal. Here's what you can do to catch a guy's attention. So first of all, look, can we talk about this YouTube set? I love it. I know it's kind of weird if it's like I'm behind a bar, but I'm sort of into it. Like I'm vibing on this. First of all, you have to understand with a famous guy, there's a certain type of personality as a man that wants to be famous. That type of personality is not necessarily consistent with a guy who wants a solid, steady girlfriend. Okay? So then you need to ask yourself, what role am I willing to play in this person's life? What is it I'm truly looking for? If you are trying to tame the beast, if you're trying to take the local soccer star and make him wifey, you are in for an uphill battle. If you are trying to take a local influencer, or just a regular influencer in general, and get railed out by him one night and have him never speak to you again, your odds are a lot better. But you need to be honest with what you truly want. And this is what I've realized with famous dudes. There are boys we have in our lives, which I refer to as a hurt locker. I dated someone very famous, like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something. He's a very famous hockey player. And it took me pretty much all those 7 years since to get over him. And I realized that it's not because I loved him so much, it's I loved the specialness I got by being with him. I felt when I was with him and I was like, I'm his girlfriend, or, you know, that I'm like, finally I am actualized. My specialness that I've always wanted and known that I had is real now, because it was like splash over from him. Like I mattered because he matters. And that's really hard to get over. And I call it a hurt locker because I place all my hurt, all my like broken parts in him. And so I wasn't really mourning him ever. I was mourning the specialness that I lost. And I think that's a reason a lot of us girls are attracted to super famous guys, because we're almost always attracted to the popular guy at high school. Why? For those same reasons. They were like baby famous, you know, they're high school famous. And we think like, oh my God, if I could just date the lacrosse captain, I will therefore be okay and complete and normal and popular by extension and by osmosis. And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to feel normal and popular and special? We all do. So here's the problem with these famous dudes. They got options. And there's a phrase that I love. It's an old saying, a man is only as faithful as his options. That means if he can bang a ton of chicks, if he can trade up and up and up and up, he gonna. It's kind of human nature, and it's definitely in a dude's nature. I'm not saying all famous guys are like this, but I am saying almost all of them are, like a vast majority. So how do you stand out to this guy? Now, normally, if we're talking about, you know, like the high school guy, I did a whole video on how to stand out to the popular guy. And it's basically like, don't chase him because everyone else is. But that's great if you're interacting with someone on a day-to-day basis. What if they're digital? Like, how do you, okay, cool, I'm ignoring you, Shawn Mendes. Come for me. Like, it doesn't really work that way, you know? God, I wish you would come for me though, Shawn. I love you so much. I'll take Cameron Dallas too as like a backup. It does not have to be Shawn. So this is what you can do. And this is what's worked with me dating famous dudes, how I got my famous ex-boyfriend, how I've had several famous boyfriends. I used my job as like an in. I'm an editor at a magazine, and when I was a writer or reporter, it's like the greatest in the world because you have a reason to talk to them. You have a reason to ask them questions. Hey, I was wondering if you wanted to do an interview with my magazine, with my newspaper, with my website. And then you get a rapport going, and interviews can become conversations. So what do you do if you're not an editor in a magazine? Because this is kind of a long way around. It's like, well, first you have to move to New York and get my job. Use my tips and ask them questions. Not necessarily the questions that everyone else is going to ask them. For example, my hockey player and I, like, we got along so well together, and he was hooked on me because I never brought up hockey. Never. I wasn't like, you're the greatest in the world, let me see the Stanley Cup. Never. I talked to him about things that no one else thought to talk to him about, because all day long he talked about hockey. He didn't want to talk about it with me. He was done. Like, it was just like, bleh, it was like ad nauseum. Like, do you want to talk about your schoolwork with a dude you date? Not really. You want to talk about other things. So I'd be like, oh my gosh, you live by a lake? Like, do you have a jet ski? And he was like, yes, I have a jet ski. And so we were able to connect in ways that were so fresh and refreshing for him. So kind of look at that. All right, so say you're into a dude who does music and he's like super popular on YouTube, as I am. I would say slide into his inbox, ask him a question that's about music, but like adjacent. Be like, okay, say we're sliding into Shawn Mendes's DM, which God knows I want to. And let's just pretend for a minute he's not getting tens of thousands of DMs a day. Ask them something, do your research. Very important to do your research. If there's like some niche band they like, if there's some team they went to, be like, hey, obviously you're into music. I was thinking about doing some cover songs of Tom Waits. Like, what are your go-to deep tracks on the Tom Waits album? I have no idea who Tom Waits is, by the way, but I only know that name and that he's a musician because a different famous ex was obsessed with him. And that's what we talked about on our first date. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, tell me all about him. And so he got to like educate me, talk about the thing he knew about, music, but not his band specifically, you know, so we got to say other things. If, say, you're into a fitness guy, I would take a different approach if you're into a fitness dude. Dudes love to be asked questions and they love to feel useful. Music's kind of like hard to fulfill that because music's so creative. It's not like a use-based thing. Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? You're not going to slide into a musician's DMs and be like, how do I play the guitar? Don't do that. Slide into a fitness dude and be like, hey, I feel like you're an excellent person to ask. Like, what do you think about like fasted cardio versus having a little snack and whatever? And be like, and by the way, if you're ever in my neighborhood, like totally let you train me, like wink, wink. Come up with some flirty little lines that have a question he can answer and then a little like personality segue that's a little bit flirtier, okay? However, like I said, these dudes are not hardwired to be faithful. They don't have to be. Why would they be? And the thing is, the girls you're competing against are Instagram sluts. Let's be honest. They're Instagram sluts who are selling fit tea and showing their ass for the gram. And you probably, if you're on my channel, you're probably not like that. So you're probably a very quality, complex, deep, rich person. And that's hard to get that across online. You know what I mean? So you're competing against not just every normal girl in the world, every hype beast slut in the world. And those girls are willing to do whatever it takes to get this dude's attention because they are thirsty AF. And you aren't. So it's going to be really tough for you to stand out in this sea of plastic. You're gonna have to ask yourself if that's worth it. Again, I think you should go back to the idea of a hurt locker. What is it this guy means to you? Strip away his name, strip away what he does. What fear is assuaged if you're with him? What worry is no longer there if he falls in love with you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. That's the question we need to ask ourselves about any guy. Because until we feel complete on our own, as much as humanly possible, we are going to have hurt lockers and we're going to spend 7 years getting over a guy you briefly dated, right? And you're going to get all twisted about someone who sucks because it's the only option because we're not complete in here. So I know that this is a bit of an esoteric thing and you guys wanted to hear the perfect message, but sometimes we need to spend more time crafting the perfect message to ourselves instead of some fuckboy with a blue check mark, because who cares about blue check marks? If you guys like this video, like, subscribe, and please share. Also, feel free to slide into my DMs here on YouTube only. Please, not my YouTube DMs, please. If you have a love question, I will answer it. Or leave it as a comment right here below the video, and I'll answer that as well. And follow me on Snap, Insta, and Twitter at ShallonXO. And always, please feel free to suggest other video topics you want to see.